How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. Today we're going to talk about Airbnb and my experience as a host. If you're looking to get started in Airbnb, there's some things that you need to learn or you should expect if you're going to become a host, and I'm going to talk about a few of them in this video. I actually hope I can turn this into a series because a lot of different events happen with different guests that we've had in our Airbnb. They make up some interesting stories. Now I can look back on them and laugh because I don't do Airbnb anymore. But if I were to start again, I would definitely go a different route. So in this particular story, now the background is that me and my wife, we had an Airbnb set up when we first moved into our first house because we fixed up a nice master suite and we wanted to just dabble our feet in Airbnb and see if we could monetize the space. So we did. For a while there, it was doing good. As a matter of fact, when I think of that whole experience, it was a good experience. We were able to make some money and we were able to learn a few things. This particular story though was one of a couple. A guest, it was actually the woman, the female of the couple. She had reached out and said she needed to rent the space for, I think it was about a week. One thing that stood out about this lady was the fact that she was local. Now, if you're a host, whenever you get people who are local, for me, I always get like a question mark. If somebody is not that far away, but they need a place to stay, it's usually different reasons. It could be maybe, their space is going through some renovations, or they're looking to move out, or there is some domestic situation there. And that usually is the part that gives me pause. And that's the part I always think about first, because you do have those cases where if someone is having some issues at home, then they may need to move somewhere closer to home just to stay for a little bit. This lady books the room for about a week. And the first thing that happened was whenever she came for her first day, she brought a man with her, which I just assumed was a boyfriend or husband, but it happened that was her husband. But she never mentioned that in the details. Now, I don't mind it. Usually the space we have is good enough for 2 to 3 people, but we try to limit it to just 2 people. Anyway, she shows up with one more person, and who we found out was her husband, and we were cool with that. We gave him the rules. As a matter of fact, whenever you come into the space, like any other Airbnb, there are typically rules both on the website and also on the when in the room itself. And we also have another plaque on the wall that says, okay, if you need this is the Wi-Fi password, all that good stuff. One of the biggest rules we have is the fact that you don't smoke. You don't smoke anywhere within or outside the vicinity of the house, anywhere. We've never had a situation with somebody breaking that rule except for this time. The first thing I personally noticed, I think it was about 2 days in to their stay, I would smell weed coming out of the room. And because we're all technically living in the same house, although the Airbnb had its own entrance and everything, some of you may be able to relate to this. If you smoke or you know somebody who smokes weed, you know that the smell can be really strong, where it covers your whole being and it covers the rooms within proximity. And that was the case here. So I was like way on the other side of the house, but I would smell, and at first I'm like, I would like ask my wife, like, hey,
you smell something strange?
She's like, nah, I don't smell anything. But it kept going on and on, where then we had to like let them know, like, hey, are you guys, like, I know y'all are not smoking weed in the house because any type of smoking is not allowed. They assured us that nope, nobody's smoking. Obviously people can lie. The smell will keep coming back on. At this point, I was already irritated with these guests because one, they were breaking one of the most important rules. And I'm not like nitpicky on things, but this particular one with smoke, there's actually a great liability to it. One, there's a fire situation. We did have a smoke detector in the room, but if somebody did something stupid and the whole house caught on fire, we didn't want that. And that's why one of the reasons that we didn't want smoke, and obviously also because we don't smoke and we don't appreciate the smell of it. Anyway, that was one of the first rules they broke, and personally, I removed myself from the situation. And I'm like, because usually my wife really is the host. She's the one who communicates with these guests, and she assured me that things were going okay, and for the most part they were. So the week stay for this couple was over, and the lady comes back, calls my wife or sends her a text and said, hey, can I stay another week? Okay, she asked for another week, one at a discounted price, and yeah, that was the situation. One, she asked at a discounted price, and also she asked my wife directly. For me, I like to keep to protocol when it comes to Airbnb, which is if you need to stay any longer, if you were to ask me as a host, I would just tell you, okay, sure, go to back to Airbnb and book those dates. Because sometimes you could have conflicting dates where if somebody may have booked right after you, then you would overlap on that. But my wife being very sweet and kind, I was totally against it whenever she asked. And part of it was my own selfish reasons because they were breaking the rules that we set. So I didn't want them within anywhere near my house. I just wanted them gone. But my wife being nice and sweet, and also she's like, okay, it's just more money we're gonna make. She let them stay for another week, however many days that she asked. A couple of days had gone by, or maybe 2 or 3 days. One day, my wife and I were coming back from our daily walk, and we see a car parked outside with a bunch of stuff, like somebody was moving, just bags. And it was this couple right there in our driveway, and we just said hi and be cordial and all that. But that, I was like, okay, what's going on? Anyway, we get inside and I'm asking my wife, like, why are there a bunch of bags and stuff that they're moving out of their trunk? My wife explained to me that, yeah, she's in the middle of a move, so she's just probably getting her stuff. And once they get out of here, then they're moving to their new place. I kid you not, just maybe 5 minutes later, we just heard some banging and like loud yelling coming from the other side of the house. And I knew for sure that, okay, it's got to be our guest. I don't know what they were fighting over, but they were really going at it. And all of a sudden, I hear things being thrown, and then they took the fight outside on the street. This was, oh my God. It was, now that I think about it, it's funny, but at the time, it was so embarrassing. Because imagine, out of the entire neighborhood, you have people just yelling right in your driveway. Anyway, they go at each other. I don't know if they physically attacked each other, because I just didn't want to see it. But my wife went out to take a peek or whatever, but they may have gotten physical. But the yelling continued. Then I heard the lady crying and the dude just yelling. Obviously, everybody was heated, or they were both heated, and they were exchanging words back and forth. And the whole ordeal was just unfortunate, and the fact that we had to deal with it. The long story short, the lady who is the main guest, because the place is under her name and everything, the guy we didn't know. She just brought him along because that's her husband. She leaves the premises and leaves this stranger in my house. My wife and I are looking at each other like, okay, what do? We don't know this guy. He's not the one who booked the room, so we're not obligated to have him stay, even though I think they had a day or 2 days left on their stay. I just told my wife, I don't care, just refund the entire thing, even if we have to, and just make sure that they're gone. But we had a problem. The actual guests was nowhere to be found, and she left her strange husband in our house. So me and my wife were just kind of like talking for about an hour, like trying to figure out what to do about the situation. We reached out to Airbnb, like, hey, we have a situation here, and we were hoping that they would advise us on the best way forward. But long story short, I just said, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. He can't stay here. Just legally, he can't stay here, because at this point it was because the booking was not under his name, so it feels like trespassing. First I call him, and then I told him, hey, I'm gonna come talk to you in person. So I go talk to him. I let him know, like, this is what's going on. Your wife is the one who booked the space, and we can't allow you to stay here because she's not here anymore. And we reached out to the wife first, hoping to mitigate whatever issues that they're having so she can come get her husband and go. But the wife's response was pretty much, screw him, basically told us like, he's your problem now. I don't want anything to do with that man. And so that was the pickle that we were in. So we had to figure out a way to get this strange man out of our house. So I go to talk to him and I let him know the situation. Like, this is what's happening. You can't stay here. Your wife booked the room and we're actually going to refund her, and we just need you to leave. He goes, I don't have anywhere to stay. I don't have a job. I don't even live in this state. He said that he's from, I think he was from Pennsylvania, up north somewhere, and that he just moved in with his wife, yada, yada, yada. It was just a bunch of stuff that he didn't have anywhere to go. So, and I had to be cold in this moment because I was like, okay, but you can't stay here still. I basically, the leniency we were able to give was, we gave him a few hours to try to reach out to people that he can stay with. So I let this guy know, because I hate a situation where I'm getting somebody involved with the law. I'd rather try to solve the problem where you don't have to deal with the police. You know what I mean? That's why I let him know, like, you have until now, and for your own good, if you are not able to find someone, or make sure you find someone so that way I don't have to call the police to get involved in this situation. He assured me that, okay, he's gonna get somebody and he'll leave. At this point also, they had a bunch of all of their stuff in the Airbnb, and so I didn't know how he was gonna get all those stuff out of there, because this guy didn't even have a car. His wife was the one who had everything. The time came which was his deadline, and sure enough, he couldn't find anyone, and he was still in there chilling, hoping that we would let him stay in our house for however long he wanted. But we just had to call the cops, and the cops came. They were able to get him out of there. And the crazy part was, again, because this guy didn't have a car, he just had his shoes and his feet. So all of his stuff, he basically moved out of the Airbnb and just put it outside of our house in our driveway, and that was tacky as hell. Honestly, even during the whole eviction, we try to like give a helping hand, like, hey, if you need storage, we can help you out with that, whatever the case may be. He says, okay, I'm just gonna leave my stuff out here and go try to find a place to sleep tonight. That's exactly what he said to me. And I'm like, but your stuff could get stolen. Like, he had PlayStations and a whole bunch of stuff. I'm like, it's not our responsibility if somebody digs into your stuff and takes anything that belongs to you. And he says that's fine. Long story short, the cops came. They were very cordial to him, and they gave him options for him to situate himself. He did leave his property on my property, and he was gone. Fortunate enough, when we woke up the next day, we saw that he did come back to move his stuff. And I don't know whatever happened to that couple, but it was literally after that situation that my wife and I sat down and said, we have to close our Airbnb shop. It was nice to test the waters with it. And it's not that we're closing doors on Airbnb in general. Like, we still plan, if we have the opportunity, we may get involved with Airbnb again. It was somewhat lucrative, and we learned a lot of things. We decided that if we were to get involved with Airbnb again, it would definitely not be our primary residence. It would be a rental property where we manage separately away from us, and we would get the right people to manage it that way. You know, generally dealing with guests is fine, and this was one of the few ones that we had a major problem with that caused us trouble. I've heard some other crazy stories, and this is just one, by the way. There are other really cool stories that I could tell you about with our experience whenever we hosted on Airbnb. But after that situation, we basically just like, okay, we're not bringing any more strangers into the house. If we are to do it again, we'll figure out the best way to go about it. So if you are thinking about doing Airbnb and becoming a host, some things you will learn during your process, but I would look out just for kind of vet your guests. You don't want to discriminate against anybody, but just having back of your mind, whenever somebody reaches out to you and they want to rent your space, try to vet them a little bit. You can ask 1 or 2 questions just to vet them, and hopefully you wouldn't have any troubles after that. I've been a host and also a guest, and for the most part it's been a great experience as a guest and also as a host. Just that one and maybe a few others, but I'll tell you all about that in another video. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this one. I just wanted to tell it because I thought it was a fun story. It's one I look at now and I laugh because of what happened. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, and make sure you stay tuned for more. Make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on. Again, my name is Mike. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.